Good evening and welcome to the Wolfeboro Exchange. A lot going on in Wolfeboro. A lot of meetings last week. We had a Board of Selectmen meeting on October 2nd and October 3rd. And we started in on the, if you get the chance to view those, it's the start of budget season here in Wolfeboro. Municipal budgets are being put together for the 2025 calendar year, fiscal year, and department heads have given their budgets to the town manager, who is now presenting the budget to the Board of Selectmen. From there, it'll move on to the Budget Committee, and then finally back to the Selectmen, and then it goes out to the voters in March. So some interesting takeaways from the early from what we've seen for early numbers from the town manager, and I'll go through those real quickly to kind of highlight what you're going to be looking at, what we're going to be looking at for the impact on taxes for the coming year. 2024 was a default budget. The voters in March of last year voted down the budget, so we worked. This year was under a default budget, which meant that department heads had to work with the exact same amount of money that they had from calendar year 2023. So, Mr. Pinio, town manager, presented the 2025 budget to the Board of Selectmen, and just to highlight some of the numbers for you, we're looking at a $2.7 million increase over last year's proposed budget, which is an 8.25% increase for the budget. Driving those numbers, driving that 8.25% increase, particularly our wages and benefits, which will increase $505,000, which is a 2.69% increase. So when I say wages and benefits, it's wages, Social Security, health insurance, retirement plan. A lot of those things are set by, the insurance is set every year. They kind of put a placeholder in for it. They hope it comes in lower, but insurance roughly goes up anywhere between, call it 5 and 10% every year. So you look at a $505,000 increase there. So when the town manager met with department heads, there's a 3 to 800 series. So the way the budget goes is there's a 100 series and a 200 series. This is more for technical aspects, but if you do watch the meetings, you may not understand when they're going through their budget books. So 100 series and 200 series in the budget books are salaries and health insurance and things like that. They're really fixed numbers that, by and large, you really can't. There's not much you can do about them. They're kind of fixed in the system. 3 to 800, let's just call that discretionary. But a lot of them aren't discretionary. So in the 3 to 800 level, the town manager kind of went to the department heads and asked them to do level funding of services, which meant to keep the level of services that we currently have, not to reduce level of services, but keep the level of services that are based on the current default budget. So just to give you an understanding of what that means. Another thing that is really driving what's going on with the 8.25% increase is debt service on the budget. So this year saw another. We have $1,575,809 increase in just debt service. And driving that debt service, there's $565,510 in debt service just from the public safety building. So year one was last year. You saw about the same number, about $500,000 in debt service. Year two was the second big number. So $565,000 coming on board in just debt service for the public safety building. And then $501,000, roughly $501,000 for the ambulance service. That's being provided by Stewart's Ambulance right now. So those two numbers, along with a $491,000 increase, which is a 6.2% increase from the 3 to 800 series. So that 8.25% is, may come down a little bit when health insurance comes in and stuff like that. What that percentage does not include is anything in the capital outlay. And what I mean by capital outlay, those are projects, or those are things that the department heads come to the town and say, I need, a a new dump truck for Public Works, or I need a new trash compactor for solid waste, things like that, pumps for wastewater treatment and the water station. So those are specific items that are brought forward by the department heads, and the board and the budget committee look over those and decide which ones of those are necessary and important for this year, and then ultimately they go to the voters on the ballot. So those things are not included in that. So you may be looking at a 10% potential increase this year. So the budget season's just started, and there's a lot going on. It'll go to the budget committee, and this all won't even shake out until early January, February, before we have an exact number of where we're looking at for costs going forward with the budget, and what kind of increase we're looking at going into the 2025 March meeting. So that was a lot of budget stuff going on. You'll see a lot of meetings, extra meetings, be above and beyond the 2 meetings a month that the board normally has. There was October 2nd meeting. One of the highlights from that meeting, there's a group in town that had been raising money, or was trying to raise money to do what's called like a baby drop box. And so this would be like a box that would have been put at the public safety building, built into the wall. So if someone who has a baby and can't care for it, can't take care of it, realizes they can't handle it, this would have been a place for them to safely drop the baby off. So the board had to decide, because the public safety building is at a place right now where it could be added, and the money could be raised for it, decide whether or not that was something that the town of Wolfeboro should be looking at. And ultimately, after all the discussion and input from both the fire and the police chief, and the board's kind of reaction, there's not another one of these drop boxes anywhere in New England. I think the closest one is in Pennsylvania, and there is an expense and an upkeep to this drop box. In 8 years, I believe they've had eight additional. The company that builds them has required 8 additional improvements to the box, so there would be an upkeep. The board voted a 3-to-1, so 3 against this box, with the foresight that there's a hospital. Huggins Hospital is directly across the street, and the fire station's manned 24/7. So if somebody was in a situation where they couldn't take care of an infant, there's already mechanisms by which they could bring the baby in, and the baby would be taken immediately to Huggins for an assessment, and Health and Human Services, and would then move in and take care of it like they normally would. So, and the baby would be placed temporarily. So, though that's the way the vote went on that. There was some talk about the bike trails. The town is going to allow Wolfeboro Single Track to flag a new trail. There's a builder coming up from down south to build at least one new trail out at the Abenaki facility for single track. Those trails are heavily used, and it's definitely, if you've never been out there, it's quite the experience. If you're into mountain biking, if you're into biking in general, they're a great asset to the town, and I think people really enjoy them. There's been a lot of going back and forth with how the trails are going to be built, who should be maintaining them, and I think the single track has worked out a good agreement now at the town, and everyone's on the same page again. So things are progressing forward, and a new trail will be flagged, and the board and members of the board will walk the new flag trail, and then shortly thereafter, trail building will commence out there at the Abenaki facility. So that's about everything that was interesting in town government. The planning board had a meeting last week. They looked at some applications. There's a lot of applicants coming before the board. Right now, we're without a permanent town planner, and we have a temporary planner 2 days a week. So the board is asking applicants to come in and do like a pre-meeting. So people have been coming in for those pre-meetings and getting feedback on how and what they should get prepared for to bring to their final meeting when they present their applications. And it seems to be going as well as it possibly can be without a full-time planner. So some events going on in Wolfeboro, just to give you a little update from, this is off the Chamber of Commerce website, which is a great resource. It gives you all the events, Wolfeboro, it's wolfeborochamber.com. October 12th, starting at 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., is Lake Winnipesaukee Cleanup. And that's from cleanup followed by a thank you party. It's at Ames Farm over in Guilford. The cleanup begins at 9 a.m., ends at 2 p.m., and from 12 to noon, there's food and raffle over there at Ames Farm. And a bunch of different sponsors for that Lake Winnipesaukee Cleanup Day. October 19th is Kingswood Wicked Big Dill Pickleball Tournament. And that's Saturday, October 19th through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. both days. So location is Kingswood Regional High School, and it's presented by the Kingswood Robotics team and the music department. October 19th, this is an annual event here in town, and James W. Foley Freedom Run, Saturday, October 19th, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's really 8 a.m., but I think it runs a little bit longer. Location is the James W. Foley Community Center in Rochester. So that's the one in Rochester, that run. Oktoberfest 2024 at Wolfeboro Inn, 90 North Main Street, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, October 19th. And then also on October 19th, we have Halloween Paint and Sip at Trenta. Trenta is over on Middleton Road, and great food, great Italian food, great food in general. They have live music on Friday nights as well. So we got this Halloween Paint and Sip at Trenta, Saturday, October 19th, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Paint a 12 by 16 canvas, or choose a cotton tote bag that you can keep for yourself as a gift, as a trick-or-treat bag for someone special. No experience necessary, and all painting materials will be included. Stay after painting and treat yourself to a delicious meal. So, looks like a great event to check out. And then finally on this list here, we got Pumpkin Patch Decorating Contest, which is Tuesday, October 29th from 2 p.m. through October 31st at 4 p.m. And that's at the Clark Museum Complex, 233 South Main Street. And that's presented by the Wolfeboro Historical Society. So some great events coming up. Got end of the month, obviously, we got Halloween coming up, and the winds of fall are blowing in, and temperatures are dropping. So, leaves are starting to really change now. Looks like we're probably in the peak of the foliage. The tour buses are here in Wolfeboro in force, and the downtown restaurants, and we're busy today on a Monday, which for lunchtime, the buses are here. People are out enjoying the fall foliage. So get out there and enjoy your week in Wolfeboro, and I'll see you next week on the Wolfeboro Exchange. Thanks.